Welcome back to our book study on Jesus and the Jewish roots of the Eucharist as we look today at chapter 5, the bread of presence. And we have a special guest with us, Erica Zurita. So we just asked you, Erica, what did you find so enthralling, I would say, with this chapter? I mean, there's been so much, I know, but...
It's just been building and building, but I could say this has been my favorite chapter. And some of it was just so intriguing, and even after I finished the whole book, I was just come away with this sense of how loving our Heavenly Father is, because He gave us this recognizable pattern of this tabernacle worship, and then later in the temple worship, that now it was almost like, this is pun intended, these breadcrumbs that He put out there, to us, and so that we could follow just follow this path that was recognizable back to Him.
Yes.
And so He's always calling us forward. So that really struck me. That was just amazing. I really liked chapter 5 because how the bread of the presence was this very sacred object that was in the tabernacle, along with the Ark of the Covenant and then the menorah.
Yes.
But it's not as well known as the other two, but it's just how central it really is to how we worship now today in the Eucharist.
Oh yeah.
And what it meant to them, in the tabernacle, that it really truly for them was a sign, a visible sign of God's presence to them.
Yeah. And I mean, what you said earlier about the love of, it's just the love of God. I mean, just being present. I think there's a little part in there, behold God's love for you. And just that statement that they would make. And when after they had offered the bread to the Father and everything. And so just having that connection and thinking that then with the Eucharist that we have, that every time we're at Mass, it's really is once the host is held up or the chalice, it's behold God's love for you. And
in Mass today, this came to mind when I was how similar it is, so it's just made so many beautiful connections. It's really deepened my faith.
Oh, yeah.
It's really beautiful.
And I thought too, just to add to what you do, I like this summary on page 143 of just going through the bread of presence and the Last Supper and connecting the different things of the 12 cakes for the 12 tribes, but then also for the Last Supper, the 12 disciples, the remembrance, and both of them calling to mind remembrance, the covenant, and just so forth, the things that he lays out. That just was a nice kind of summary of the chapter that says, all right, here's what the Old Testament has been doing. Here's now what the New Testament, in the Last Supper is showing forth in that fulfillment of everything.
That fulfillment of it. And then he asks us near the end, the question is okay, if this is a new Passover, why did not Jesus indicate the roasted meat of the lamb to be his body? I was wow, that's a great question, you know? And then you go back, because you were saying, the bread that they would bring out, they bring out the golden table, the bread of presence, and show it to the pilgrims, because they would come, 3 times a year? They would be for Passover, for tabernacles, and for, what was the other one? I
can't remember the other one right offhand.
Pentecost.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's 3. So 3 times a year, the pilgrims would see the temple priests holding up and saying, behold, the love of God for you, right? And so then, if you take that, it would have been driven home that was the presence of God. There was a divine, it was a sign of a divine presence. So then when Jesus points then to the bread and wine to being his presence, it's immediate connection, from that point of view. And it's whoa, it's just so cool.
So beautiful and just so rich, and how we get to use this, not to use it, but see it in the Eucharist. In the fulfillment of everything, that Jesus is truly present, body, blood, soul, and divinity. So, well, thank you so much for your insights and what spoke to your heart and your soul. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Know that you are in my prayers, and have a wonderful day. God bless.